fighting forces in Algeria, the FLN, which the other African states refused to recognize. Of course, Nasser had to be in it. Of course, Nkrumah. Of course, Sekou Touré, Tunisia. And of course, Mohammed V in Morocco, who had just waged serious war to get independence away from the French. The other group was called the Moderate Group, and they were all made up of reactionaries and scum of our race who didn't want African unity, and there was a million problems and sabotage it and work for imperialism against the interests of their people, and that still continues today. I always say one of the weaknesses of the African Revolution is that we are the only people who allow our enemies to strut with impunity amongst us. It's only because of our weakness. It's only because of our weakness. Only because of our weakness.
Good evening, everybody. This is your host, H-Rap-B. This is built for this network, and this is a program called Built and Destroy. Well, where the goal is to destroy the myths and the propaganda that's being pushed throughout our community and build up our community with the usage of you, me, and anybody else who continues to listen. I want to welcome you. This is a show that comes on every Saturday. Every Saturday, 5 p.m. And it is a podcast. And I'll continue to remind people because every week I get somebody to say, hey, I'm sorry I missed your show. It's impossible to miss my show. It's a podcast. A podcast is on-demand entertainment. And if it's on-demand entertainment, you can never miss it. It is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at your demand. Now, I want to thank you for tuning in. This is, again, built for this network. I am H-Rap-B. We will continue to grow and continue to give you the information that you need. If you have created a profile, I'd like to thank you for joining the farm and interacting with me with anything that you have to say, whether it be to the contrary of my opinion. It's not the point. I just need you to participate in the program. You know how I start each and every one of my programs, and that is by giving salute to my ancestors. It was taught to me that in the event that you are publicly speaking, you should send respect to your ancestors and they will send protections and blessings to you and the people who are paying attention to the program. That's why each week I acknowledge my relatives. Everyone from the Whitmore family, Pollard family, Bailey family, Turner family, Battle family, Todd family, Lakey family, Chris family, Lansdowne family, Duncan family, and me, my mother, my father, my sisters, and my brothers are the Williams family. We are in the building. Thank you for tuning in. This week, like every other week, is going to be relatively interesting. You know what I would do. I would provide information that I think you need. I would provide an entrepreneurial experience that I think you should have. And then hopefully you guys will engage. We'll go back and forth via the chat room, or you can, more than likely you got the notification via text or Facebook or whatever you got it. You can reach out to me there and say, hey, I don't like that. And we can have a conversation. That's not a problem. I am not a dictator. I am not a soothsayer. I am not a person who believes he knows everything. What I am is a person who is offering potential solutions to the strife that we see on a weekly, daily, monthly, and hourly basis. How I'm going to start the show this week is this. As you guys know, I initially, until I sat down and thought about things, I was initially anti-voting. I'm not a Pan-Africanist like the speaker before. I had a person in this chat room, his name is my man said Trotter. He asked, was that Dr. Sabi? No, that was Dr. Kwame Ture, formerly known as Dr. Stokely Carmichael. He's a former president of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coalition. used to march with the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he was a member of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Look into his speeches, he is all about people who look like me and you, just like me. You know, he is also frequently paired with a brother who I stole his moniker, H-Rap B, but his name is H-Rap Brown. So this dude is stoked in our history and the uplifting of our people. Back to the subject at hand. As I stated, we are in a situation that, whereas I had to see what I saw, change directions, and say, hey, maybe I need to rethink this. I really wasn't a participator in the voting process. I didn't believe in it, and it's a gigantic part of me that still does not believe in it. I'm not going, oh, well, I've changed my mind and go along with the program now. No, but what I have identified is the problem. And the only way you can resolve a problem is to potentially enter the system and do what you have to do to make sure the system works for you. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I want us to register a mass to vote. The reason you register a mass to vote is because when you register a mass to vote, you force the system to either collapse because we move like a fist, or we get what we need out of the system and continue to build our communities, better schools for our children, better living arrangements for our seniors, a safer environment for our women, and a peace of mind for the brothers, hopefully. The reason I'm bringing this up today is we are in the midst of a pandemic, and we never saw anything this epic coming in our direction. I'm sure most of us are practicing social distancing, and we're on the cusp of a situation to whereas your current president was about to use statistics. Remember, if you listen to my sports show, if you listen to this show, you understand that I despise most statistics. I do use them at times, but statistics are also tools of people who want to manipulate you as well. So he was going to use things like, hey, I put forth criminal justice reform, so brothers and sisters should vote for me. I put forth this, and unemployment is down. So look, I told you this will happen, and blah, blah, blah. Let's look at the matter of fact. Unemployment in the black community is low, not because everybody in the black community was working before this pandemic. The unemployment statistics are just like any other statistic that you can manipulate any way you want. And here's the major way that people like the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, manipulates those statistics. You and others have been taught that the unemployment figures are below this, so that means we're working. No, the unemployment figures are based on people applying for unemployment. You only get 6 months, maybe a year of unemployment. Therefore, if you've run out of unemployment benefits, you're no longer applying for unemployment. That does not mean that you have a job. That means you can no longer get the government to subsidize your lifestyle. You may have to take a substandard job or even two. That's all that means. We're looking at a situation to where that's how he manipulates it. Because then you get your white counterparts saying, well, unemployment is an all-time low. Why are you black people still complaining? Because we still don't work. Or underemployed. So if I used to work at IBM and now I have to be the manager at McDonald's, I'm underemployed and I'm in just as bad shape as anybody else in the country. So don't allow people to give you erroneous statistics to buffer their situations. Oh, I stood up for criminal justice reform. No, he didn't. He just signs an executive order just like he undid all the former President Barack Obama's executive orders because Barack Obama was under the impression that Hillary Clinton would continue that fight. And it's a never-ending cycle. Therefore, again, statistics mean nothing. Actions mean everything. It's told to me today. Actions speak louder than words. Donald J. Trump is a white supremacist. He's a person who has our interest in mind. He does not have our best interest in mind. He's a capitalist, just like the brother who was speaking at the top of the show, Brother Kwame Ture. It's not a capitalist. Capitalism got a lot of us brought over here, got us put into bondage, got our name stripped from us, got our entire identity stripped from us. So when people like our brother Stephen A. Smith stand up and go, I'm a capitalist, it lets you know the ignorance that he possesses. Now, what we have to do to combat this capitalist nonsense is this. To pay attention to what this dude is doing, and we have to get out in masses and vote. Oh man, the voting don't work, rap. I'm sick of voting for the Democrats. They don't do anything for us. And I've been saying this since I've been doing this show. I've had a pivot in idealism. What if we ask for it? Our community has never truly asked the Democrats to do anything for us. I'm going to put you in office, and then you're going to do what I say. You're going to figure out what we want. That's where the problem lies. We as a community need to galvanize. That's the brother Kwame Ture at the top of the show said. And once you galvanize, we will have, as I stated last week, pockets of leadership. You know, like block club leader, committee men, aldermen, so forth and so on. We have to engage. Voting is only about 10% of the process. We continue to say nothing is being done. And if you ask the very person that says nothing is being done, you say, hey, what do you want done? They'll go, a lot. And that's, go to a restaurant, say I'm hungry. What do you want, sir, ma'am? A lot to eat. Let me know when you made your mind up. So what we have to do is come together as a community and make demands. And the only way we make these demands is we get this bozo out of the office. I'm not saying that Joe Biden is an ideal candidate, but what we're doing is voting for the less dangerous candidate. It's not the lesser of two evils, it's the lesser of the danger. Because I want you to understand, Mr. Trump has placed 2 people on the Supreme Court. He has placed 193 circuit court judges or lifetime judges. These people determine if you can get to the Supreme Court. So if these people think like him, and we assume that he is a white supremacist, that means he's putting the same kind of mentality in the Supreme Court and in these circuit court judges throughout the United States of America, and they have lifetime appointments, and then you're not going to get a fair shake. That's 1. 2, how in the hell do you ask somebody for something who is almost genetically predisposed to go against you? It does not work. It will not work. So what you have to do is get somebody in play that's going to be able to fight for you. City council. We have to engage with city council meetings. So when you hear somebody say something that you don't like, you have to say, hey, this is wrong. I don't like that. You better get it done. I'm going to get somebody else to make it do it. Another thing, people like me and you, we have to stop waiting on other people to fight for us. We have to run for office. And how can I run for office? I don't have that kind of money. But if you are engaging in your community, if you're being part of the process, people will see your forward progress, see your forward movement, and they will get behind you. People are waiting to galvanize, and if you think somebody else, if you got complaints about your local politicians not doing enough, that means it's time for you to step up or put yourself in a position, put somebody in a position to step up. Just like we want our children to be doctors, lawyers, attorneys, so forth and so on. Let's start getting our kids in the mentality of you can be the next alderman. You live in this community. You can speak for the people, and you can take care of the people. If the people inside of the community don't want to do better for the community is doomed. Point blank period. There is nothing else to say. There is nothing else to discuss. If you want to discuss how to improve the community, you must be a part of that process. And if you're not a part of that process, you are anti that process. Everybody complains. Enough complaining. We can no longer afford to loudly complain. Understand. Let's go back 150 something odd years. I think it's 163 years to be exact. At what they call the Reconstruction. Inside of 10 years, you had people from our community that were in the House of Representatives. 10 years after not even being able to read, making it illegal to read, you had people helping run the country. So, seeing how most of us should be able to read, should be able to interact and engage, we need to start putting people in places so we can empower ourselves and rebuild our communities. Because if our